Leo, this is your March 2022 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is a general reading for you. This is Romy. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune into my channel. We're going to break some intuitive messages down and give you some key astrological dates to keep an eye out for that will hopefully help you move through this month with a little bit more ease. So we're going to open up this March reading for you with the energy of the Seven of Pentacles. And do you know what I want to say? It feels to me that you've outgrown something this month. Even though you're continuing to water this, it almost looks to me like this plant is needing a bigger pot here, or in actual fact it needs to be seeded into the ground where it has space for those roots to grow and to expand. And it may feel that you keep returning to something, trying to be at peace with it, trying to feel like it's something that you can accept. But I think there's just going to be this quiet whisper, this sort of knocking on your intuition all the way through this month until you really sit back and recognize something for yourself that says, you know what, it perhaps is time for me to move on or to allow myself to grow in this way. It's not about having to manage the perceptions of other people or their judgments, because that's where the energy drain is coming from. And you may feel like you're just constantly pouring into somebody else's cup. This is a time where we do need to really take stock and have quite a significant conversation with ourselves about what our new priorities are at this time. There's a bigger theme that's playing out about finding a foundation of peace for yourself, understanding that of course what's playing out right now is very difficult to witness. It's very painful sometimes to be alive and recognize the amount of suffering and the choices and decisions that people make. And so we have to continue to try to stay in our heart and recognize that it does still begin with us. It's not about turning away, it's about looking within and saying, what can I do in this moment to be the best version of myself, because that's what matters. You have to honor your dreams right now by doing the work. That, in some regards, for many of you, is going to feel like the antidote, because what it is that you need is to feel like what you did today mattered. What you did today mattered. And part of that is about recognizing what your everyday magic is, Leo. What are the small things that really matter to you? Do you need to hear the birdsong every morning? Do you need to have that extra 5 minutes when you have a ritual with yourself first thing? You know, are there certain things that doing every day just gives you that sense of inner peace and balance? Here's the Fool again, indicating that it's time for a new approach and to kind of really dig deep and have the courage of your conviction to go for something. You're not interested in competing with anyone else right now, and you may even be trying to distance yourself from people that are, you know, trying to provoke you or trying to rile your energy. This is a journey, this is a decision, this is a feeling, this is a turn of events in your pathway right now that's very personal. And the step that you're about to take, although in some regards you may even be feeling to yourself, this seems a little crazy, I actually think it's something that at a deeper level you know is really the only way forward for you. Now, the new moon in Pisces on the 2nd of the month, coming in with a conjunct Jupiter, is really helping to amplify something that matters. And there's a whole stellium of Pisces energy as Jupiter and Neptune hang out in this water sign as well. As it lights up that 8th house for you, you are digging very deep, unearthing some of your own soulful secrets through the month of March, and thinking about how you're merging with people, whether that be, you know, physically, emotionally, in terms of resources, and really striving to figure out where you stand in terms of your own self-reliance and self-sufficiency. And again, the Fool is suggesting to me here, but there's perhaps a need to break free, or a need to kind of find some sense of deeper independence, even as it translates into those connections and setups in your life that, yes, they're going to continue to be a partnership or a part of the fabric of your life, but you also need space to breathe, yeah? We have to recognize that we've outgrown something. That can be difficult because often, you know, in different situations we're growing at different rates and different stages and going through different things. And so how do you manage to coexist with all of the complexity of that? It's what it is to be human. But we have to figure out for you this month of March, Leo, what your own medicine is. What's it going to take for you to feel better in the skin that you're in? I think this is going to be one of the big overarching themes for you as we move through this month. You've got to start to attune to a state of being that is more representative of who you feel you've become. The Ace of Wands is bursting through the clouds here. So what I like is that through the heaviness and the density, perhaps through some confusion or uncertainty, there's a glimmer of hope here. There's a spark, there's a new idea, there's an offer, there's a proposal, there's even an energized feeling that something is changing. Now remember, the Fool and the Ace are just the beginning, and it can take a while sometimes to turn the ship around, because perhaps if we are deciding we're going to go in a different direction, or we're going to invite something in that's going to really sort of, I suppose, unsettle the status quo a little bit in our life, then it is going to take a bit of time for it to bed in. You know, if that new plant was taken out of the pot and into the ground, it's going to take a bit of time before those roots just really take hold. So give yourself a little space and a little patience for these things to formulate properly through this month of March, okay? So the third welcomed the final part of the trilogy between Venus and Pluto in that conjunction. Think back to December 11th and December 25th. What was playing out for you? What's the storyline been during that Venus retrograde around money, around relationships? You know, the shift and change in your value consciousness now demands that there's a sort of final recognition here. The moon, the full moon, is highlighting, it's revealing something. And in that 8th house, there are deep revelations that are taking place. They're coming up from deep within you, first and foremost. You may even be the one that actually spills the beans on something through the course of this month, or really says it how it is, or you know, you say how you feel, and that could well come in around the full moon, which is going to be in the earth sign of Virgo, coming in on the 18th, 27 degrees. Sun sextile to Pluto with that full moon, meaning that we have a positive opportunity to make some lasting transformational changes and shifts in our life. Remember, the moon sometimes can feel like things are still hidden. There's still information that's yet to come forth. And in that waiting period of the Seven of Pentacles, in having to take a step forward with blind faith, in feeling like it's just the beginning of something, I have a sense for Leo through March that there's a lot more to come, and that you probably will start to psychically, intuitively have a sense of that making its way towards you before you see it with your physical eyes. But that doesn't stop you from needing to be active in the participation of choices and taking action for things. You know, this isn't a time to be sat on the sidelines. You know, we need you, even in the Seven of Pentacles, where traditionally we see the figure just standing in the field. She's actually still pouring the water. Sometimes we need to go back to basics, don't we? Chop wood, carry water. If you're finding things are overwhelming or scattered, or you can't get a sense of bringing things into the right order, strip it back. That's where you're going to be able to dissipate some of the confusion. But I like that the Ace of Wands is going to cut through any of the uncertainty that that full moon might bring about. Of course, there's sometimes fears that are highlighted with that moon energy. And I feel for Leo, it may be around the basis of, if I do this, if I allow myself, if I give myself permission to think this new way about myself, or to take this next step, will it be okay? You know, sometimes we can be in the right place, we can be doing the right things, but if we're with the wrong people, then it's always going to feel like something is missing. Your Ace of Swords here, this beautiful spirit fire, helping to align with your own natural elemental energy, is cutting through something and just saying, you know what, enough is enough. There is a recognition here that I can't ignore any longer. And I have a sense this is also about you putting the story straight for some reason. So it may be that there's going to be a misunderstanding with that moon energy, something that gets said or that gets revealed to you or that you choose to share, but it's misunderstood. And so what it does is it helps to almost clarify how you really feel. It kind of brings you into a very sharp focus with what it is that you're actually wanting to express here, and if you're truly on board with it. So if there is any contrast and any resistance that's going on in your own energy field, I think that's going to be mirrored and highlighted back to you through some wave of misunderstanding. But at the same time, remember the Ace of Swords just cuts through everything and gives us the opportunity to set the record straight and to have that sense of clarity for ourselves and for people around us. You don't really need other people to be on board with what it is that you feel or what you think. The question is, are you on board with it? Are you okay with it? Can you live with it? And so the observing of what's actually happening during these situations and events as they play out through the course of March with people in your life, personally, professionally, romantically, is showing a lot to you about some of the shifts and changes that have taken place in your own consciousness, the way that you've been evolving. Now, Mars and Venus are finally shifting out of Capricorn into Aquarius on the 5th of the month. So this always requires an adjustment. It always affects each and every one of us differently. How that energy allows us to now express ourselves as we're driven to action with Mars, and as we relate to money and to love in our life with Venus. Remember, Aquarius is on a quest for humanitarianism, but also for that deeper sense of personal freedom and to celebrate the uniqueness that is us. That's how you really get to gain ground through the course of this month. And what you're going to need to be mindful of is that I think the universe is going to be showing you time and time again, with all of these new beginnings coming in for you, that where you're having a very stark emotional response or a sense of resistance to moving on or beginning something different, you have to work out whether it's something from your past, an old emotional story that's just trying to recreate itself in your now, or if you're really meeting yourself with where you're at. Two of Swords has been showing up quite a lot this month, and I really like this depiction because what it indicates is that you've been through this incredible journey. Look at the inhospitable landscape behind you. That mountain range was not easy to navigate, but you've done it. You've done it with the help of your intuition. And the lone wolf there also indicates to me that there's so much of that journey that you've had to do alone. You've had to go it alone. You've maybe not had the support or the ability to really confide or feel like you were getting what you needed. And that was, I think that was meant in a way, spiritually speaking, because it's honed something. You now come forth with this new sense of balance within your own masculine and feminine energy. You come forward assertive and ready. Now, you may be poised at a crossroad right now. Typically, of course, the Two of Swords indicates there's a choice or a decision to be made. I think you've already made that choice. I think that you're just almost stopping to gather your energy and your thoughts to make sure that what you say next, what you do next, you can live with. You can fully honour and respect yourself in the process of that. We're also going to be welcoming the asteroid goddess Vesta shifting into the sign of Aquarius. Remember, all this Aquarius energy is still lighting up that 7th house for you. So we still have a continuation of the story where relationships are going through a real powerful shift in your world. New people will be showing up. Your network will be expanding, but also shrinking in other ways, There'll be people coming and going, and you'll be having to make peace with things in a more accepting way than perhaps you have for a long time. You might not have all of the answers initially as to why some of these relationships are changing in the way that they are. We've got the energy of the Lovers coming in here. I like that we have this beautiful rainbow arch here. There is a blessing to be had, and there's a beautiful sacred ritual ceremony taking place here. It's kind of interesting that we can't see either of their faces here. So again, it just indicates to me that, you know, there's something about the choice or the decision, the union, the coming together, that there's still more that needs to be revealed. I want you to pay attention in and around the 6th, the 16th and the 26th of the month, okay? As to I feel like pieces of the puzzle or pieces of the jigsaw coming in connection to this energy of the lovers. Now, yes, it may be for some of you on a romantic front, but for others this could be important shifts and changes that are happening in formal agreements or union or discussions around, especially with that 8th house energy in Pisces season, you know, of resources. There may even be marriages or divorces or splitting up of assets, you know, all of these kind of decisions coming in. What we need to remember is that if you can come at it from the heart, your heart needs to be the guide for you through the course of this month. That's where, again, you're going to be able to access the medicine. You know, just to make sure, I think it's so important for Leo this month to feel that what it is that you're saying or what you're laying on the line is really representative of actually how you feel, not what you think someone wants to hear or what you think you would have wanted, you know, 6 months ago. It's such an active, dynamic, changeable energy plane at the moment that you really are required to at each and every moment tap in and say, like, how do I feel now? How do I feel now? What's changed? What's shifted for me? And be completely unafraid to make the course corrects necessary. And to the outside world, that might look at times like Leo's all over the place. Leo keeps changing their mind. What's going on? It's not, it's just you receiving more downloads, more information, and getting closer and closer into that sense of rootedness within yourself to say, no, this is what truly feels right for me. The more evidence I gather energetically through my observations, but also through that connection between me and my higher self, that's what's really helping me to navigate what comes next. And again, this is why I'm saying you're not interested in competing or in putting on a show for anyone. This is very much about you recognizing what's shifted and where you're outgrowing things in your own life and how you make those adjustments accordingly. So we're going to be welcoming the Sun in Aries, which is the same day as the equinox on the 20th. Of course, a time for beautiful rebalancing. We really want you to harmonize with these natural cycles of the earth. They do so much to kind of help restore, to rejuvenate, to reset. And we've got the 7 of Cups coming in here because there are multiple choices that are making their way towards you as we come into fellow fire energy of Aries. It's the new astrological year. The same day we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. There's a huge boost coming in here. And I think there's an opportunity to propel yourself further than you anticipate. So what it feels like to me is that as you really harness that new moon at the beginning of the month and you really line up with some of the things that are firing in your belly, you know, that you feel motivated and driven towards initiating, as we hit that equinox energy, it's almost like all of a sudden you can see all of the ways in which things can start to connect or come together or work with one another. And perhaps up to this point you've been looking at them very compartmentalized and it's felt like, I don't know how this can happen, like the crossover here just doesn't feel like it can work. And that's perhaps made you feel at a bit of a standstill or a little bit blocked in some regards. But there's something about the energy here of this coming in where we almost like transcend some of the limited kind of more physical, dense, earthly way of thinking about things, and you're tapping in at a much higher spiritual level, and all of a sudden you're just being able to evolve so much faster, and you're being shown things in a new way. So there's a new level of understanding coming in with that. Now, of course, we do need to remember with all of this Pisces energy, that in its shadow it can kind of really create this element of fantasy and illusion. And again, I think this is why it's so important to keep checking in with yourself. Where is my ego taking, the stage right now? Am I really being true to myself and the values that I want to live by? Am I allowing the narrative, to just mindlessly direct me? I don't really see that that's where you're heading, Leo. I think there's too much clarification piercing through with that Ace of Swords and all of this fire that's coming in. And it just feels like you're jumping up and over. You can see this kind of spirit, I don't know if it's a wolf or a cat, like jumping over any problems, any issues, any of that lower vibrational shit, really, that's trying to impede your progress or get in the way. We have a couple of interesting, challenging astrological dates just to keep an eye out for, definitely around the 3rd. There's an intensity with Venus, Mars and Pluto all in conversation. But also we have Venus squaring Uranus on the 19th, just after that full moon, and we have Mars squaring Uranus on the 22nd. So the before and after of that full moon reveal could really, as I said, sort of spill the beans on an emotional level. There may be some fairly surprising encounters or things that come to pass. The fish is jumping out of the water here, so you may even feel like you're a bit uncomfortable, or you feel displaced, or something just doesn't make sense to you, and you struggle a little bit in your heart center with what you need to do next or how to kind of handle that. But we do have this sense of union. We've got the two flowers looking towards one another, and even though they're different colours, there's still a sense of unity and togetherness here. So it does indicate to me that there's something that can resolve itself. But even when I look at the fish, their eyes look kind of a little startled, and I just feel that Uranus energy could sort of upset the apple cart in some regards with, something that's going on or playing out around you. Now the Ace of Cups is emerging out of water here, but again it does look a little bit charged up, and there's a few clouds in the sky here. It's not as crystal clear as we would like it to be, and coming off of that 7 of Cups where there may be a lot of choices or options or things that are happening all at once, you could feel a little bit disorientated. So the opportunity again, especially as Mercury comes into Aries at the end of the month, again in fire energy, the planet of communication, just helps you to present and express yourself in a way that's more in alignment with what's going on for you. I think that makes a difference. So remember what I said, even if there are misunderstandings, I feel like there are going to be resolutions that come through. Now you've got 3 aces showing up in this reading. It is the new astrological year. It is a time for reset with equinox. So it's not a surprise that there's an awful lot of fresh energy coming in. But remember, you have to create space for it, because if you've outgrown something and you keep trying to water the same thing that has nowhere else to go, then you're going to end up frustrating yourself, and you're going to end up not seeing opportunities when they're here for you. But also give yourself a little bit of patience to see where some of these things can go, whether they be relationship or things you've got going on professionally, Leo, because it feels to me that March is also an indicator. It's the precursor of what's to come now in the next few months. It's like the curtain's been pulled back, but the play hasn't begun yet. You're sitting in anticipation and readiness. So we got to think about, how do I want to experience what's about to happen next? Is it from a place of openness? Is my heart open and ready to hear this, to receive this? Or am I still looking in a different direction? You can't wait for people to catch up with you this month, Leo. Everyone's on a very unique path, and it may feel like some people are very, very far behind right now. Don't worry, they'll catch up when they're meant to. But if you stop your progress because of that, you're going to impact the timing of events and things showing up for you in a way that can cause much more frustration than there needs to be. So let's take a look and see how these oracle cards just want to reflect this for you. Just a heads up, I actually have my own Oracle deck coming out, which I'm super excited about. I'm going to be doing the pre-launch for that in March, so there is a link to a list in the description box, and you can sign up and get a sneak preview and be first to hear about the launch of that coming out, and I can't wait to start using it on the channel. So let's have a look and see. Your Oracle for March is the Crossing Initiation. The light that's streaming from this portal is very important, and even though this may look like quite a precarious crossing that's shrouded in, you know, a lot of cloud cover here, it's also made of stone, and so there's something very firm, and there's also, you know, this sense of it just pulling you. I don't think that you are going to be able to resist, like, moving forward in this direction. You know, I think it's coming from somewhere much deeper at a soul level for you, and you have to just kind of almost surrender into that, recognizing you've outgrown where you've been, and this is what comes next. Because the alternative, you know, as we look at that Two of Swords, is to go back into that mountain range, and it's just not an option. You know, you've already proved your worth, you've already overcome, you've already navigated that landscape. It doesn't have anything more to teach you at this point in time. So this initiation, this time of transition, as you welcome in some of this new energy, is going to be really symbolic in March, and you're going to feel that quite strongly, but it's going to set you up, because remember, you are seeking this deeper foundation of peace in your life, of finding that sense of quiet and balance and calm. That's the energy with which you want to be creating, you want to be meeting people, you want to be nurturing and nourishing things in your life. Okay. Your astrology card is Saturn and Structure. Saturn wants us to do it and do it the right way. It's not an easy energy to work with, but it can be very satisfying when we show up for ourselves and we don't try to skip the levels, because there's something to gain and something to learn through absolutely every experience. Lord of Timing is also important here. Remember, I just feel like you are, to a certain degree, going to be feeling that sense of not everything is quite ready to go, and I'm going to have to go anyway. So as much as you can, you need to work with that sense of structure and balance and order for yourself. Okay, so this is a general reading for March, Leo. If you'd like to think about a personal question I might not have answered in the main spread, I'm just going to go ahead and pull a couple of personal cards, which we will cover off in the extended version. If you're new to the channel, you can find the link for that in the description in the comment section underneath. And it's a way to just support my work, and also, you know, we're going to talk for another 20 minutes or so to give you even more messages for this month ahead. Okay, so we're just going to clarify the Seven of Pentacles. We've got the Three of Wands coming in here. I like that for you a lot. King of Swords. Air sign energy, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. Six of Swords. Okay, we've got the energy of the Hermit. It's really echoing this sense of having to go it alone or do something alone, or it being a little bit of a rite of passage energy for you. Ten of Pentacles. Five of Cups. Three of Swords. Eight of Cups, a little bit of an upset energy there. We'll explore that a wee bit more in the extended. Nine of Wands. Another Ace of Wands. You are going to get the energy you need, especially if you feel very depleted. Remember, energy is expensive, Leo. Use it wisely. Six of Wands. Nine of Cups. Beautiful. Nice earth energy coming in there. Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. I feel like this could be a sister or a good friend, I feel. Female friend or a sister coming in that might be very significant in terms of events and situations unfolding this month. Another Seven of Cups coming in there. High Priestess. King of Cups. Okay, Leo, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look forward to continuing this conversation if you're joining me for the extended. Otherwise, I wish you a beautiful month of March. You take care.